Hey YouTube! So we've had some bootleg copies of the next season of the rankings running around, and PVPoke has updated the rankings. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to go over the PVPoke new updated rankings, kind of go over my first thoughts on them, and give you sort of one, the rationale why they are at the rankings they are, and two, whether I agree with them or not. So let's start with Corviknight. So you can already see that is the number one ranked Pokemon, and if you can see the little star there with Air Cutter, Air Cutter is the move it is getting for Community Day. So it is the number one ranked Pokemon. It was pretty highly ranked last season as well. Its strengths are, you got your low, it's like Skarmory, like lower attack, higher defense and stamina. You got that Steel Flying typing, which is just insane. Only two weaknesses, fire and electric, and then Hen resistances on top of that. So off the bat, you have a fantastic stat product and typing. And then the moveset, they kind of tried to manage it. So it was mostly running Sky Attack, Iron Head, and then some people ran Payback. So the new moveset as a number one ranked Pokemon is Sand Attack, Air Cutter, and Payback. So again, you're getting this Air Cutter at the Community Day. It is only a 35 for 54 damage move, which is not too impressive. It's only 1.54 damage per energy, but it has a 30% chance of boosting your attack. And then it's saying to run Payback as the second move, as you're going to see here. So this moveset's kind of interesting, and I don't know if I actually like it. I don't know if I like this as the number one ranked Pokemon, and I'll tell you why. I understand. I think this is very bait dependent. At least with Iron Head, you're doing 84 damage, or Sky Attack, you were doing 90 damage. And basically with those two moves, you can basically go both of them, either or pretty much, and knock your opponent out in two. So now you have this Air Cutter Payback. Now Payback does 20 more damage than Sky Attack at 110 here, which is good. But that's one, it's not going to one-shot anything. But maybe you can combo that, right? Because if you think about the Iron Head damage at 84, and that's like doubled is 168, and then 110 plus 54 is 164. So you're pretty close being able to go Air Cutter Payback versus double Iron Head. And the difference, but the problem is this is why I don't think it's actually a huge upgrade. One, the difference in the move count is nothing. Payback is 15, Air Cutter is 9, that is 24. Iron Head is 13, 12, that's 25. So you're not even getting to the moves that much quicker. And with it seems like almost bait dependent. Like if you try to go for that Payback and you get shielded up, you're probably in trouble and behind. An Air Cutter, again, only doing 54 damage. It's not like you can throw two Air Cutters to take an opponent out. And yes, there is a 30% chance of boosting your attack, but your attack is Sand Attack. And as you can see, a 2 damage per turn move. Even if you boost that, yes, it does a little more damage, but it's not anything that's overpowering. So it's not going to be like it's not like Bullet Punch that gets the double attack boost or something like that. Like it's Sand Attack. So I don't know. I honestly, I feel like Corviknight is still overranked, all things considered. Now, why is it potentially not overranked? And I'll tell you, and this will be a theme with all Steels. I think Steels got a secondary buff because of what did get directly buffed. Dragons got buffed, Rock got buffed, Fairy got buffed. So those three typings got buffed, and all three of those typings are resisted by Steel. And when I was looking at this rankings, you got your Carbinks at 2 and Wiggly at 4 and Bastiodon's there. I was like, you think you saw a lot of Shadow Scizor this season? Wait until you start getting all these things that are weak to Steel near the top of the rankings here. So, and I know Bastion's neutral to it, but I just don't think that it's going to be, I personally think that Corviknight's going to be a little overranked. Now I do understand it's incredible with its just typing and bulk. Carbink is the number 2. Now Carbink has an insane amount of bulk as well. 252 defense and 126 stamina for 2600 overall. Like this thing could just take a ton of moves. Now it has 4 weaknesses, being double weak to Steel at that. It does resist 6 things, double resisting Dragon because it is a fairy. And I think with all the Dragon buffs you're going to see, that's one of the reasons it has risen up. And the second reason is Rock Slide got buffed. So here are the stats for last season. 45 for 65 for 1.44. This season, 45 for 75, 1.66. When you get same type attack bonus, all of a sudden you are doing 45 or 90 for 2 damage per energy, right? So with your rock throw doing a decent amount of damage, you now have a rock slide. There you had to go power gem before. Now you got a rock slide that's doing 90 damage. You're still probably going Moonblast most of the time, but you can probably now get away with double rock slides, which you had to go power gem before, so you're getting to the move a little faster. So just being the fairy to resist the dragons that all got buffed, and getting the rock slide buff and being able to throw that instead of the power gem just is an improvement. Empoleon, huge improvement. And I was looking at for Shadow for Alligator, which is much lower now. So two huge things here with Empoleon. One is it got the Metal Sound, which is a 4 energy, 3.6 damage per turn. And I actually looked up Shadow for Alligator because this is a Shadow and Shadow for Alligator. Shadow Claw, same thing, because this you get same type attack bonus. So even though Metal Sound is a worse move than Shadow Claw, you get same type attack bonus on it. So Metal Sound is essentially equal to what Shadow Claw is. So you have an equal fast move to compare it to Shadow Claw for Alligator. You have Hydro Cannon with the Shadow, which is doing the same. And then you have this Drill Peck. And Drill Peck got buffed this season. So it's doing 84 damage, 40 for 84. And it gives you that coverage for grass, but it's not even like you're weak to grass. And this is where, again, the steel comes in. You have your water steel, so 3 weaknesses, but 11 resistances here. So double resisting poison, double resisting steel. These are big resistances in the current meta. So Empoleon is a huge improvement. Definitely, I think, in my opinion, becomes the #1 Hydro Cannon user. You're going to see a lot of Empoleons over for Alligators and Greninjas and other Blastoise. I've used a lot of Blastoise this season. And now, Blastoise has a lot of bulk, and Empoleon doesn't have as much bulk, right? You're at a 125, 117, 122, so not a great stats overall, but just that moveset is fantastic. Wiggly, I called this when I was doing the finger math. I'm like, oh, it's only 4 charms to a Swift, and it's only 5 to an Icy Wind. So you have nice stats. You have this fairy normal typing where you're only weak to 2 things. You're double resisting all these dragons, and there's a lot of ghosts in this meta too. And there's Bug that got buffed. And hey, all of a sudden now your charm is still doing damage, right? It's not doing as much damage, but you're now getting to these Swifts, same type attack bonus Swift 66 in 12 turns. And if you want, someone mentioned in the chat, it only takes 15 to get to the Icy Wind now. So if you want to put this on the lead and charm and do a lot of damage and just like Icy Wind your opponent down, you're probably going to take a lot of switches. So Wiggly is going to be a really tough Pokemon. Bastiodon just got the Smackdown buff, so Smackdown is doing a little more damage. And again, it's just Bastiodon. It has an insane amount of bulk. It's got a lot of resistances because it's got that secondary steel typing. Yeah, and with that 247 defense, you can just take an insane amount of damage. So between those and just the buff, just makes it a strong Pokemon. Steelix, non-shadow, Dragon Tail, Break and Swipe. So it's going to be a lot different than how you have played it in the past seasons. In the past seasons, you usually relied on a Shadow Steelix, where you did that Thunder Fang damage and then lowered your opponent's attack with like Psychic Fang, so you can kind of ramp up. Maybe you have Crunch for coverage. But Dragon Tail, how that is used changes, like that stats change, and Break and Swipe has changed as well. And so now you're getting to the Earthquakes faster. So because Dragon Tail is not as damage output and it is now more energy output, so 3 and 4.33, the assumption is, again, you can go watch my video where I did the analysis. Dragon Breath was going to be 3 and 4, and I said the Dragon Tail needs to be 4.33, or else there's no point of using Dragon Tail on, again, this is PVPoke's assumption, which was my assumption as well. You cannot have Dragon Tail be a mirror of Dragon Breath, because there's no point of using Dragon Tail as a 3-turn move if it has the same stats as Dragon Breath. So the assumption that I made and the assumption that PVPoke is making here is that the energy, instead of being 4, is going to be 4.33 to make Dragon Tail a little more enticing. So again, you used to use these things as Dragon Tails or Dragon Breath fast move damage and then maybe just get to your charge moves whenever. Now you're charging quite fast. Like when you get to that 4.5 range, you're charging quite fast. which is why it now only takes 15 to get to an Earthquake, and it does 132 damage. So now when you got, like, again, the bulk, high defense, can take some charge moves, you got that Steel secondary typing with ground, 10 resistances, all of a sudden you're now throwing 132 damage Earthquake in 15 because you get same type attack bonus on it. So this is a hard hitting move. Break and Swipe also now has a guaranteed chance to lower your opponent's attack. And this is why I mentioned in the first thing, yes, the damage is not there. It's only 1.11 damage per energy, which is not good. But because Steelix is so bulky, and because you're getting to these moves so fast, 4-3-4-3 means 12-9, 12-9. You can just continue. You'll chip. It's not a lot of damage, but you'll chip, and then guaranteed to lower your opponent's attack. Once you throw that second one, it's like grabbing a feather dance on your opponent, and that is basically when your opponent gets out of the matchup because it's so overpowering. So it's one of those, again, on the leads could cause a lot of problems if you can just break and swipe your opponent multiple times, threaten an Earthquake, but just break and swipe your opponent, lowering their attack multiple times, force them out, and take the switch there. Not surprising, Regidrago, we mentioned why it now plays differently. You're now getting to that Dragon energy in 12, 11, 11 as opposed to 15. So again, if you've been on this channel for a while, I say there's the super spammy 8 to 10 turn moves. So you got your Aqua Tails and Rage Fists on, so Aqua Tail Crunch 8 to 10 on Drapion, your Rage Fists Close Combat on Primeape. But then once you get to 12, you're not in that like extreme speed, but you're still pretty fast. So get to a move in 12 turns that does 120 damage, 2.67 damage per energy is a lot. And again, it's not like Dragon Breath is doing no damage. You get same type attack bonus 3.6. So interesting there. Stats were nothing outstanding. It's super low defense, super high stamina, which is kind of interesting stat product there. Or distribution, I should say. Again, one of these, I don't want to screw this up, but one of them is essentially how much HP you have. I'm pretty sure stamina. Yeah. Stamina is how much HP you have, where the defense is how much of the charge move you can essentially take. So if you have a lot of stamina, you probably take a lot of fast move damage. And then when the charge moves start coming, it's like, oh, those are going to start adding up to, even though you have a lot of health, those charge moves are going to start adding up because your defense is pretty low. And then the typing, 4 resistances, and 4 kind of unique good resistances, right? There's a lot of Dedennes. I mean, Dedenne is still going to cause you problems because you have no moves to throw at it, but you resist electric, you resist fire, you resist grass, and you resist water. And then weak to Dragon, Fairy, Ice. Should be more fairies this season, and then more dragons, so we'll see how that plays out. But it should be pretty good. Clodsire, again, I'm going to kind of skip over the ones that are still meta for obvious reasons. Like Clodsire hasn't changed, Dedenne hasn't changed, they did not nerf Parabolic Charge. Lapras hasn't changed, they didn't nerf Sparkling Aria or Psywave or anything. So I'm just going to kind of focus on the other ones, the other one being Guzzlord. Again, Dragon Tail is just going to play very different. I even mentioned this in my video when I first looked at all these. I said every dragon that does not rely on the Dragon Breath or Dragon Tail damage is going to be an improvement. So all those that are now getting to the moves faster, where the moves actually do damage, are going to improve. And hence Guzzlord is one of those improvements. Still doing chip with 3.6 damage per turn, now charging very fast on the Dragon Tails, and oh, hello, we are now looking at almost a Dusclops like spam here. 9996 to the Brutal Swings, and you get same type attack bonus on Brutal Swings. So holy crap, these things are coming fast again. Dragon Claw, now the harder hitting move. So this one's going to take... This one's going to be kind of I don't want to swear here, but it's going to be like a rethink of how you use it. Again, you were like using it before. It's like good chip damage, and then I'm going to throw a Brutal Swing, and then Dragon Claw is like your quick chip move. Now you have Brutal Swing as your lower, quicker move, coming very, very fast. Dragon Claw doing a little more damage, but with same type attack bonus, almost 100 damage on Dragon Claw here. It's going to take some rethinking about the Dragon, but definitely one that is going to cause some problems. And that typing, actually I didn't check the typing, but Dark Dragon, again, Dragon just picking up all those like water and grass and resistances, and then picking up the Dark, or you're also resisting Ghost, Dark, and Psychic there, helping you out. There are 5 weaknesses which are always in play, and again, Fairy got buffed, Dragons got buffed, Bug got buffed previous season. There's always fighters. So Guzzlord's typing, yeah, you may see a few of the weaknesses, but it should still be pretty good. Darkspine, again, a poor man's Wigglytuff. I think Wigglytuff is just better with that secondary normal typing because there's a lot of ghosts out there. So being able to wall ghosts is a huge improvement for, not a huge improvement, but just a benefit for Wiggly. But you have Psychic Fang's Body Slam. So Psychic Fangs can lower your opponent's defense. Not that Charm is what super overpowering now, but it helps. And then Body Slam did get buffed this season. You don't get same type of attack bonus, so it's still not a great move. Again, this is why I think Darkspun is not as strong, just because I do not like Psychic Fang's Body Slam. I'd rather have same type attack bonus on Swift and Icy Wind coverage with that normal typing. So I just think that, you know, could you just run both? Maybe. Run like one as a safe swap. Maybe, maybe Wiggly as a safe swap. Try and draw out like Scizor, punish it with like a fire on the front, and then go this in the back. Maybe. Maybe something like that could work if you want to test that out. Shadow Giratina, same thing. Now running the Dragon Breath instead of the Claw. So you actually, same, but only 1 versus 2 turn move. So 4 energy per turn, 4.32 damage per turn, but just a 1 versus 2 turn move. This one is, again, why it's saying use Dragon Breath. There's going to be more dragons in the meta, number 1. And number 2, you always prefer the 1 turn moves over 2 turn moves just because they're easier to catch on, easier to count your, catch on your opponent, gives you more flexibility and stuff like that. It really depends how you want to build your team, you know? There should be a lot of threats still. Diggersby got a little bit of a nerf, but that should still be out there, and a lot of dragons. So maybe you do want to run Dragon Breath again. So yeah, just with that, the Shadow, again Dragon Claw going to play a lot different. Yeah. So what's the moveset now? Dragon Claw, Ancient Power. So Dragon Claw, just because it plays a lot differently now, doing with the Shadow 150. This is going to be such a mind, a change of the mind. Dragon Claw, which was otherwise just like a spammy bait move, now doing 115 damage with the Shadow bonus here. So that is that does more than a stab crunch from Drapion. Like, this is going to take a rework in my mind here. And saying go with the Ancient Power over Shadow Sneak. Both the same energy and same damage. So I think Ancient Power probably gives you a little better coverage. Yeah, maybe against that's probably I guess there's 2 reasons. One, it does have a 10% chance of buffing your attack and defense, which is always super valuable in itself. But 2, if Wigglytuff is a top 4 Pokemon and we expect it a lot, we're going to get killed anyways, but let's at least have something to throw at Wigglytuff and an Ancient Power, because Shadow Sneak would be double resisted and Claw would be double resisted. It's a terrible matchup anyways, as you can see right here. Oh, that's Tinkatuff, but yeah, it's just as bad against the Wiggly. Komo-o, I mentioned you're now getting to the same sort of thought process. You're getting to these clanging scales in 12-9, 12-9, and it does 144 damage. It does lower your defense by 1, but getting to a 144 damage nuke in 12-9, 12-9 is insane with that secondary fighting type. So all the dragons, we knew this. We knew this season was going to happen with all these dragons going up, which is why stuff like a Azumarill should still be top 20 because you need some answers. Corsola is bulky. Dusknoir. Turtonator is the other one because it got Dragon Claw and it suddenly now has a good second move. Before you had to rely on Overheat and Dragon Pulse often, but now has access to Brutal Swing, 10, 10, 10, 5. Interesting counts there. So 10, 10, 10, 5. But the Dragon Claw, again, almost 100 damage coming at 15 and then 10s. So that fire typing helps offset some weaknesses, like Dragon's weak to Ice and it's weak to Fairy, and both of those are resisted by fire. So you kind of offset some of those weaknesses there. Machoke, Cordeli. Machoke's kind of a weird one. Again, I don't know why you would use Machoke over Primeape or Annihilate. I would just use those Pokemon. I don't think there's a reason to be worried about Machoke. But Cordelian, Stunfisk, and Fortress, and Jellicent, and Gastrodon now with Water Pulse. So Water Pulse got a buff this season. And they're saying use Water Pulse over Earth Power. 5 Hmm. Interesting. I guess the thought process behind this is you're already doing so much damage with the mud slaps anyway. So if your opponent's weak to ground, you're already doing so much damage with the mud slaps. But if they resist ground, like if there's something like a Galarian Moltres as a flyer, you want to have something for it. And Body Slam is still less. Yes, it got buffed, but it's still bad. You might want to just have that Water Pulse that's a little quicker to get to and can give you a little more coverage than the Earth Power, which you're already doing the damage with the Mud Slaps if you can hit neutral there. So I think it'll be preference whether you want Water Pulse or Earth Power, but just something to consider. Yeah, Golurk, Shadow Scissor should still be dominant. Marowak, Primeape. Gyarados, again with the Dragon Breath, now spamming Aqua Tails at 9. So that is, I just kind of mentioned, 8 to 10 is that extreme speed range. And you're now getting to these Aqua Tails in 9 for almost 80 damage with Shadow. So between the Dragon Breaths and the Shadow damage there to get to 80, could have play. It's very, very glassy. I play with it in limited cups. It's very, very glassy. You're definitely going to need shields on it. But you know what? It's got a secondary flying typing, right? So it's half water, half flying. So only two weaknesses, electric and rock, but like picking up that ground resistance and the bug resistance and the fighting resistance, that's a pretty nice secondary type, like flying. And there's not a lot of flying in the meta. So Gyarados can kind of sneak up there. Metang got that Gyro Ball buff, so it just kind of it moved up a bit in the rankings. Diggersby down at 35. Yes, I understand that Scorching Sands. The move itself did not get nerfed, but it does now have. I mean, it got nerfed in the fact that it now has a lower chance of lowering your opponent's attack. Yeah, it went from, but it was only 30 to 20. So this is what I'm going to say about Diggersby. I don't think you should play it any differently than you did. It is the same that I mentioned about Drapion. Drapion got that crunch nerf that no longer lowers the defense of your opponent as much. It plays the exact same. Diggersby is going to play the exact same. So like I know some people in the comments when I put Diggersby in the title, because technically it's like one of the few, if maybe not only, direct shot at a Pokemon. But I honestly don't think it's going to change too much. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. Morpeko, Tinkatong, and Murkrow. With Peck, Drill Peck, this is how many XLs do you need? This seems okay. 43.5 for 0, 15, 14. That's not bad. 143 attack, insane attack stat with the 20% bonus. So this thing is going to be super glassy. What are we assuming on Peck? So, yeah, this is the same type of attack bonus plus Shadow. So Peck looks overpowered here because you had that over 4 and 4 for each. Usually you have that 4 energy per turn, which is a decent charge, with 4.32 damage, which is good damage. But with this, you get same type attack bonus because it's flying, and you also get that shadow bonus. So it's really showing off the Peck. And then you got this Drill Peck coming at 10 that does 100 damage. So I get it. In itself, doing good damage with the Pecks, charging super fast to the Drill Pecks, flying, dark typing, yeah, okay. You know, there is ghost and ground in this meta a lot, but they're not probably more fairy and rock now too. So I don't know. I think this will just be a fun one. I don't see myself playing with it, but it's there. Runeriga, Shadow Dragonair. And this is what I'm talking about, the Dragonair, right? Because Dragonair, Shadow Dragonair in particular, it's an improvement for sure. But Shadow Dragonair did rely on that Dragon Breath damage from the Shadow version. But you do have Aqua Tail spamming at 9 now, so it's not like you're not doing anything here. But yeah, so it'll play a bit different, but you're getting to the moves a bit quicker. Lapras, Marowak, Pangoro, Weezing, Malamar, Primeape, Sandslash, Togedemaru. There's your first Ninetails. So even in this, I saw on Reddit someone had a bootleg version with Ninetails at number 1. And people rightfully in the comments were like, are you, politely, are you stupid? Because there's no way a fire Pokemon is anywhere near the top of this meta when ground is everywhere in this meta, water is everywhere in this meta, and now dragon that resists you is everywhere in this meta. So there's no, as I love Ninetales, there's no chance a fire should be anywhere near the top of this meta given the state of ground, water, and now dragons in this meta. That being said, PVPoke also assumed the more extreme version. So I mentioned in my video on Monday, you can go back to watch that again. It's an hour-long video, very informative. Also, side note, I'll do this. But side note, someone in the comments mentioned this is a this is one of your best analysis in years. This is what I recognized Dan from like 2 years ago. And as someone who's always pride himself on the analysis part of that, like doing those like deep dives and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, have I not been doing that good over the past 2 years? So, but in the video, I mentioned Ember has two options. You make it a Mud Shot clone at 4 energy, or you make it a Poison Sting clone at 4.5 energy. And I said if you really want to make fires useful and you want to have them have play, you need it to be a 4.5 energy. And that is what PVPoke is assuming here. It is assuming 4.5 energy. Now, if you're using a 4.5 energy, then yeah, you're getting to these now buffed weather balls in only 8 turns, and the nuke of overheat in 14 and 12. So pretty good. 80 in itself, most of the time we'll probably take out in 2. Ember's still doing 2.88 damage per turn, so not a ton, but not inconsequential. So being able to now spam these weather balls at 8 and 8, I think that in itself, again, there's a lot of water and ground takes neutral to it, but you're probably just going to get out like grounded. um, but anything that takes neutral to it, you're probably still doing a good amount of damage with these just spamming there. And then the overheat nuke that only takes you 14 to get to. 14 is what it takes to get to like an acrobatics um, on jump off. So getting to 187 damage overheat just shows you how strong this could be. On the first one, 12 on the next one. Although it does lower your attack, so you can't play it the same way. Dodrio, again with this Peck, Drill Peck, and Brave Bird. Someone mentioned Dodrio. It's very, very attack heavy, 143, low defense and stamina. It does have a secondary and normal and flying. So yeah, nice resistances to ground, ghost, and bug, which is a lot of the meta. But again, electric and rock is definitely there, and rock got buffed this season, a few of them. And you also limit yourself with just straight flying moves. But Peck in itself, 3.64. That's the assumption. Drill Peck doing over 2 damage, and then having that nuke of a Brave Bird that you get to in 14. Not bad. Not bad option. Again, flying is kind of underrepresented in the meta overall. For Alligator, Claydol, Gligar, Tinkatuff, Dusclops, Annihilate, Dragonite. Dragonite with the Thunder Punch. Someone mentioned this, which I should acknowledge, because I said, why would you use Thunder Punch on Dragonite? And someone rightfully said, because Dragon Claw is now going to take a long time to get to. Although it only takes 12 and 11. I think the Thunder Punch is more of a coverage move. And I'm just gonna there's gonna be more, but some of the fairies are Wigglytuff as a normal, which you're throwing superpower because that'll do neutral, and Tinkatonga as a half steel, which you would also throw superpower. So I thought maybe Thunder Punch will give you some coverage. I mean, it gives you coverage against a Zoom Roll, right? That is a fairy water. Dragon Claw and Superpower are both resisted there. So that would be hit super effective for Thunder Punch, but you're probably still getting killed in that matchup anyways because they can throw double super effective Ice Beams. I don't know. I think I don't know. I think that if you're this spammy and having a 115 damage move for only 12 and 11, that's a pretty good pace. I still think I want Dragon Claw. And this is where, I think the rankings are going to change. I think that some of the movesets are going to change. I can see Thunder Punch being a move that changes. This is one thing I have to test out, preferably in the Ultra League. I still think Dragon Claw is probably the right move. Hackmo with the same thing. I won't cover the dragons because it's the same concept. They're all, and there's your Kingdra. Now, they'll play different. They'll do a little less fast move damage, but get to the charge moves much quicker, which will cause you some problems with the charge moves. So anything that relies more on the charge moves is probably better as opposed to the fast move damage. There's your Wireless, same thing. Altaria. Hey, Altaria's down at 74. Noted with Flamethrower to give you some coverage. I think Flamethrower too. I don't know why you'd run like a double move not give you coverage against Steel. So I think Flamethrower is correct too. Lugia with Dragon Tail, Fly, Aeroblast. Okay. Kind of spicy, but I don't think you need to run that. I think the others are strong. Crystal has a Rock Wrecker now, so it could be kind of a fun one because Rock Wrecker is a nuke in its same type attack bonus. 132 damage, right? So 132 damage move coming in 13. Pretty fun, pretty nice. Um, and then, yeah. Ferret's down to 94. Really? I'm shocked at that. Where is it in the current rankings? So Diggersby's number one and obviously has fallen. 36. 36 to 94. That's insane. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that there's more fairy in this meta where Sucker Punch is resisted. Outside of that, Ferret's not dropping that much. So now that we're at like rank 100 here, I just wanted to see if there's any other Pokemon that are kind of like new that I need to highlight here. Magcargo is running Ember now. Interesting. I guess it gives you more flexibility compared to the Incinerate. Um, Toucanon, another one of those flyers that you can potentially use at 107. But yeah, when you're down here, I think a lot of these are more just kind of like niche Pokemon that you want to use for fun as opposed to everything in the top meta. So here's the thing. I think some of these Pokemon, like Diggersby, that went from 1 to 35, and Ferret that went from like 36 to 94 I'll do a full underranked overranked when I think more about it, but that's just my first thoughts. I think these are severely underranked. I think they're going to play very similar. Yes, there's going to be a few more fairies, so Sucker Punch is going to be resisted. Um, Last time I checked, there's not going to be less dark. Or I guess there's, yeah, okay. There is probably more Guzzlords, more Murkrow. I'm not that worried about, but maybe more Zweilous. Okay, maybe a couple more darks. But Ghost should still be around. I guess Giratina, you're not walling as much anymore because it's using Dragon Breath. Okay. But last time I checked, Corsola, Dusknoir, Jellicent, Golurk, Annihilate, Runerigas, they're all still going to be there. So I think Ferret's downfall is over a lot more fairy. Look at that. Carbink, Wiggly, Dedenne, Doxbun, Azumarill. 5 fairies in the top 20. Crazy. And then Tinkatong right at 37, Glaring Weezing at 46. So yeah, we definitely should see a lot more fairies, which is why I'm very surprised that something like Scizor is at 30. Let me just check to see where it is now in this meta. Currently 60. Oh, so it's actually improved. Okay. So I think this was like severely underranked here, this meta, because it was dominant. It was dominant play Pokemon Championship. It's been on every one of my strong teams. I think that Scizor was very underranked here. So 30 seems more appropriate for where it is. I think you're gonna see a lot of it. So I think those are some of the few underranks. Where's like Jumpluff? I get that there's more fires. And I know Fairy Wind is non-stab and doesn't do a lot of damage, but there you still have a nuke in acrobatics, you still have your bulk, and you still have a super effective Fairy Wind against all these dragons. I think Jumpluff is underranked. Um, Last time I checked, I didn't think there was a bunch of ice that got buffed. Yeah, there's still like almost no ice in this meta. Yes, there's more fire now. So you got to watch out for a few more of these fires, but again, not super. Oh, yeah. So I think the ones that are still staples from last season, let's just look at the rankings here from last season. A lot of these should still play, I think, similar. Diggersby and Lapras. And again, Jumpluff moving from 10 to 200 and something is insane. It is insane. PVPoke, I love you, and I know you just put in the Sims. What the hell? There's no way that this goes from the number 10 ranked Pokemon to 207. No freaking way. Um, so unless I'm missing, again, I understand fires. I understand fires. There's not more ice. Is there more steel? Corviknight, Empoleon, but Empoleon, okay, maybe run because there actually is a decent amount of steel here between Empoleon and Bastiodon getting buffed and Steelix. Just run an energy ball. Run your shadow with Aerial Ace Energy Ball. I think it'll play a lot better. So those are going to be some of my like um, underranked. In terms of overranked, I think Corviknight is overranked. Um, I also think Pokemon like Carbink are probably going to be overranked a little bit. Well, if there's a lot of dragons, Carbink won't be overranked. But the reason I think Carbink is overranked is just because there's still going to be a ton of Scizor, which is hitting double super effective with the steel. There's going to be a ton of ground still. Marowak's not going anywhere. You now have like Empoleon and stuff as the water. Um, water didn't get any sort of nerf, and you still have your like Empoleon and Azumarill and Jellicents and Gastrodons that now have a water pulse too. I mean, ground was super effective too, but um, yeah, I don't know. So I think probably overranked there, Carbink. I don't like these first two. I think Empoleon and Wiggly would be tough, whether they're 3 and 4. And we'll see, but definitely worth high rankings. I think it makes sense for Bastiodon, Steelix, Reggie, Clodsire, Guzzlord, Dedenne. Yep, I think all of these are appropriately ranked. I think they're all going to be super strong. Komo-o with an upper hand. Well, Clanging Scales is just such a nuke, so I don't know why you would. Sorry, my parents are running like the dishwasher, so it's very loud right now. The joys of being in the basement of my parents' place. Um, yeah, I do think some of these like Turtonator, like I think this meta was missing a fire. A fire dragon though with so many dragons, but a lot of fairies too, so it could be kind of interesting. You don't have any charge moves for the fairy. Brutal Swing, Dragon Claw. Um, yeah, I don't. Again, now you're in 40, so can you really call Pokemon in the 40 overranked? Again, so I think some of these top Pokemon will probably drop. I can see Corviknight, Carbink dropping, but otherwise, I think could be an interesting meta. Anyways, as the dishwasher or whatever they're doing up there seems to be going hard, I will call it here. Let me know what you think about this new rankings, what you are looking forward to using. Um, closer to, I said I was going to do this closer to, but I just saw that the rankings went live, so I wanted to cover it. But closer to, we will do an overranked, legit overranked, underranked, and the meta analysis where I think the meta is going. Again, if there's more dragons and there's more fairies, right off the bat, my mind goes to Sandslash. And I've used Sandslash on a team that you're going to see sometime in the next week. Sandslash is at number 50. Sandslash makes sense to me. With Shadow Claw, that makes sense too because you're going to have some like steals, like I just mentioned, all those steals. But having the drill run for the steals, not walling the fairies, but having answers for the fairies, having the ice punch for the dragons, like I could see something like Sandslash making a return. So it's going to kind of be like, where's the meta going? Okay, if you're going to see this and this, where's your core breakers? Where are you going to go from there? So we'll cover that in the next one. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, let me know your thoughts below. Anyways, thanks for watching. We're only going to do one video a week just because I'm at my parents' place and it's tough to film. I got tons of stuff going on. So we'll do one video a week until Monday. Maybe we'll double up on Monday and then we'll probably go 2 a week for the last week while we look at sort of the meta for next season and trying to finish off this season's Great League teams. I got a few. I'm at, just to finish off where I'm at in GBL, I'm at 2875. I got to 2940. My season, I'm doing everything that I said you cannot do to hit Legend, which is why I haven't hit Legend. During one of the Go Battle days, I did all 100 battles. I went positive in 15 out of the 20 sets. However, 14 out of those 15 sets were 3 and 2. It's one of those things where I always said you cannot go 0514 and you have to go 4150 because that's where you get your elo. And for me, it was one of these, and it's been like this. I probably went positive like 25 out of 30 sets, and I was lucky if I went up like 75 elo, just because it was like 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 1-4. 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 4-1, 0-5. And so I just like, I would climb a little bit, climb a little bit, climb a little bit, big fall down, climb a little bit. Like, so I am close to Legend. I don't know if I'll be able to play this week because I don't really have any of these Pokemon, or maybe I'll build some up. I don't know. But yeah, it's just very frustrating. My consistency's off and making dumb plays, and it's costing me these 4-1s and making them 3-2s, or I'm making dumb plays and going 1-4 or 0-5. So frustrating, but we're close. Anyways, that is it. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.